Tonight, our top story is about the Israeli strike on Rafah. Particularly, it's about one man's reckless, brazen, and selfish pursuit of political survival. Just take a look at the pictures on your screen. This is the city of Rafah today. Do you hear that? That's a sound of pain and anguish. Over the weekend, Israel turned Rafah into hell on earth. Those are the words of the United Nations. Israel's strike on Rafah killed at least 40 people in a tent camp.
Her husband and the one in her stomach. She was the only one we had. She was the only one, and she's gone. She was the only one.
As shocking images came out of Rafah showing mass casualties, world leaders once again condemned Israel's action, urging it to observe the Friday ruling of the International Court of Justice. Israel's military stated that Sunday's air attack was based on precise intelligence. They claimed to have eliminated 2 Hamas fighters. However, if the strike was based on precise intelligence, how did they manage to kill 35 civilians? Isn't the death of 2 Hamas operatives at the cost of 35 Palestinian lives a reckless gamble, to say the least? The attack took place in the Tel al-Sultan neighborhood, where thousands were sheltering after Israeli forces began their ground offensive over 2 weeks ago. From the Israeli strike, more than half of the dead were women, children, and elderly people. Health officials in Hamas-run Gaza saying that the death toll was likely to rise as more people caught in the blaze were in a critical condition with severe burns. By daylight, the camp that Israel attacked was a smoking wreckage of tents, twisted metal and charred belongings. Hospitals in Rafah, including the International Committee of the Red Cross Field Hospital, were unable to handle all the wounded. Some were moved to hospitals in Khan Yunis, which is located further north in Gaza. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees called the situation horrifying. In a tweet, they summed up the situation saying, and I'm quoting, "Gaza is hell on earth." French President Emmanuel Macron said he was outraged over Israel's attacks. So did Germany. The EU Foreign Policy Chief, Josep Borrell, urged Israel to follow the International Court of Justice ruling. Egypt, Qatar and Saudi Arabia condemned the Israeli attack. On Monday, amid the global outcry, Israel's top military prosecutor called the airstrike very grave. She said that an investigation was underway and said that the IDF regrets any harm to civilians. Listen to this.
Naturally, in a war of such scope and intensity, difficult events also happen. Some incidents, like last night's incident in Rafah, are very grave. The details of yesterday's incident are still under an investigation, which we are committed to conducting to the fullest extent. The IDF regrets any harm to non-combatants during the war.
Still, despite the global outcry, Israeli tanks continued to bombard eastern as well as central areas of Rafah on Monday. 8 more people lost their lives. All this is the reckless pursuit of one man's goal. I am talking about Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. You see, in the past few weeks, 2 international courts, both based in The Hague, have tried to hold Israel accountable for its actions. While the top prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, has sought arrest warrants for Netanyahu, the International Court of Justice, ICJ, has ordered Israel to halt its offensive on Rafah. Decisions by both the courts have been met with fury in Israel. And Netanyahu, despite the ICJ ruling, despite international censure, despite its closest ally, the US, warning against it, Israel has continued to be reckless as far as the lives of Palestinians are concerned. Time and again, the Israeli Prime Minister has brazened it out. He called the ICC prosecutor anti-Semitic. He has flouted international rules of law. He has tried to threaten and intimidate international court. He has rejected multiple truce calls, even when Hamas accepted the last one. He has banned media organizations. He has defied Israel's only staunch ally, and he has shown no signs of altering the strategy. It's a pattern of recklessness. The opinion among foreign policy experts is this, that Netanyahu's wartime decision-making is mainly motivated by his personal interest of staying in power. That Netanyahu is essentially dragging out the war for as long as possible for his own political survival. And why, you may ask? You see, he knows that the moment the war comes to a halt, Israelis will focus even more resolutely on investigating the failures of October 7. They will push for early elections to vote him out of office. He knows the pressures he is facing within his own country. Families of the hostages are leading calls for a ceasefire. Since late January, Israeli citizens have been pushing for early elections and the removal of Netanyahu. And then on Sunday, opposition leader and former Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid accused Netanyahu of trying to cause anarchy. This after Netanyahu's 32-year-old son shared a video that appeared to show a reservist calling for a mutiny against the country's defense minister, Yoav Gallant. The Israeli military said it was launching an investigation. The incident marked a bad week for Netanyahu's government. The longer the world allows this recklessness to continue, the more the Palestinians will suffer. Netanyahu is clearly reluctant to accept any end to the war as of now, and he will continue to claim that the only way to bring back the hostages is through military pressure against Hamas in Rafah. But you see, the longer the Israeli guns roar in Gaza, the longer that goal will take to be achieved. How long then will Netanyahu be allowed to be reckless? Till peace is given a chance.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.